62-year-old man was beaten so bad that he had to be put into a coma, and just don't make sense. He tried to help these three teenagers out, and he ended up almost losing his life. Let's check this out.
From his hospital room here at Mount Sinai Hospital, Larry Gilkey talks about the attack and the fear he has now of getting back on the CTA after what is now, we know, is his second attack on public transportation here in Chicago in less than 2 years.
I feel better. Yeah, I do feel a little better.
While he feels better, Larry Gilkey, affectionately known as Uncle Larry, has a long road to recovery. Last week, 3 teens viciously attacked the 62-year-old while on the CTA bus along Cicero in West Garfield Park.
The only thing I remember was getting on the bus. It's the last thing I remember.
On Sunday, CPD issued this community alert showing the 3 people suspected of beating Uncle Larry. By Monday, a 15-year-old boy and girl were charged, and later an 18-year-old, Lindell Roberts, arrested. All 3 are charged with felonies in the attack which left Uncle Larry in a medically induced coma for 5 days with bleeding on his brain.
They're going to get what they deserve. That's all I got for them. They're going to get what they deserve.
Uncle Larry's twin brother and nephew have been by his bedside constantly. They want the teenagers to get the harshest punishment.
If you're making those type of decisions and you're out here doing those type of things to innocent people, then you need to be held accountable, and you need to know what that punishment is like.
The family is insisting CTA must improve security on buses and trains to ensure riders are truly safe.
This is not the first time that this happened, though.
In the summer of 2024, on July 2nd, Uncle Larry was targeted on the Blue Line train at the Forest Park stop.
I was robbed and attacked. I walked away from that.
It's the second time it happened, you're in a coma. The third time it happens, it's like, what, you're dead now?
Do you feel as if you could ever hop back on a CTA bus again?
Not right now. No, not right now.
Uncle Larry and his family are grateful to those who showed their love of Chicago by donating to the GoFundMe account, which has collected thousands.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But the biggest thanks goes to a Secret Santa who contacted the family on this Christmas Eve, offering a very large amount of cash. And get this, a car with registration and taxes paid for 1 full year. This way, when Larry gets out of the hospital, he can feel safe. Now that's the true love of Chicago.
Yeah, so that's just sad. And if a 62-year-old man can't ride the bus without being brutally assaulted, then nobody's truly safe. I mean, he was showing kindness, and it nearly cost him his life. He was beaten by these 3 teenagers, and doing the right thing by helping people should not end with you in a coma. But that's exactly what happened to Mr. Larry Gilkey. And when I look at this, I have to ask, who raised these people? You got an 18-year-old and 2 15-year-olds. At some point, somebody had to teach them right from wrong. You know, this just doesn't happen in a vacuum. And this behavior, I think, is learned, tolerated, and ignored somewhere along the way. I mean, where's the parents? Where's the accountability? And I'm asking this because I have a 15-year-old daughter myself, and my wife and I, we have these conversations with her and our other 2 children just to kind of see where their minds are about different things. And, we have to sit down with them often and just explain that their decisions, their choices, or the choices that they make or they end up making can, put them in some serious trouble. So we stress the importance about thinking about things, to think before making a decision that could possibly have serious consequences. So I don't know if something like that happened with these 3 who carried out the attack. But if it did, then clearly they just decided to do whatever the hell they wanted to do, regardless of upbringing. Now, our seniors and elderly population, I believe they're a vulnerable population, not because they're weak, but because sometimes our society tends to forget about them. And the thing is that we have to protect them. We have to look out for them. I think we have a responsibility to protect them, not just with laws, but also with values. I'm sure these three young people who attacked Larry Gilkey, I think they may have elders in their own families, like aunts, uncles, some grandparents, and I'm sure they wouldn't want this done to them. But I remember growing up, my next door neighbor was an older man, probably in his 60s back then, and he was a double amputee, and he used a wheelchair, and his driveway was cracked, so it was hard for him to, roll down that driveway to get to that mailbox. And I would get his mail for him every day. Coming home from school, I used to walk home and I passed by his mailbox because he stayed right next door to us. And I grab his mail and take it to his door. That's how I was raised. And my father used to work with him, and they were pretty cool. And my father approved of what I was doing, and he even asked my father, if it was okay for me to get his mail because he was having a hard time getting down that driveway. So when I see stuff like this, it just makes me wonder, what are these kids being taught when it comes to values? Like I said, somewhere along the way, we've lost something important, which I think is just basic decency toward one another. And I think it's fading every single day, where people just don't care about other people, and it's disturbing and it's disgusting. But I don't know if it's going to get better or worse, and hopefully things change for the better. And I try to stay optimistic, but at the same time, I'm aware that the world isn't always kind, which is why awareness, values, and accountability matters more than ever. So I think we kind of got to get back to that. But for these teenagers, they now got multiple felony charges or felony counts, and the 18-year-old, he's being charged as an adult, and rightfully so. I mean, this isn't kids being kids. Age doesn't excuse what they did, and actions have consequences. And now they have to live with the outcome of the poor decisions that they made that day. And I just wish that Mr. Gilkey just didn't have to suffer because of someone else's poor choices. He didn't do anything wrong. He just tried to help, and he's the one that ended up paying the price. And that, should never sit right with any of us. Because this could have been anybody, on that bus that day. So hopefully, he makes a full recovery and gets well soon. But y'all just got to kind of be careful when you're out and about, and just pay attention. But as always, just take care, stay safe, and just make better choices. Peace.